Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 5 of season 2 of the F1 2019 HAAS Road to Glory career mode, where today we're here and it is a big day. The day 1 patch as such, even though it's version 1.05, has finally launched. Obviously I play this game on Xbox, or at least this career mode. I play on all 3 platforms, everything like that. But we have finally got the V1.05 patch for F1 2019, updated car performance and everything like that. Sadly, 2 upgrades haven't gone on the car. We've only got the engine power and the gearbox durability. The weight distribution and the weight reduction will have to wait till the Monaco Grand Prix. I do get those both sorted out over the course of this weekend. But yeah, the performance patch looked like it was going to help HAAS quite a lot. Sadly, in my career mode, it hasn't really done that. Although, don't get me wrong, it's probably given us a performance boost. Unfortunately, the teams we're battling at the moment have received a bigger one. McLaren and Alfa Romeo, probably 2 of the quicker, 2 of the more improved cars on this game. You can see everyone has received a bit of a buff. It's made Racing Point well and truly overpowered after Hulkenberg's Grand Prix victory last time. Mercedes are back up into P2, head of Renault, Ferrari, Williams, McLaren have made big gains from it. Alfa Romeo as well have made some gains. Obviously, ourselves and Toro Rosso have not quite been left behind, but certainly have had a little bit of a nerf in the process of this as well. But obviously, if you guys missed out on the last video, you know the drill by now. Click the top right hand side of your screens. There'll be a link to both that video, last season's Spanish Grand Prix, as well as the full playlist from this series. We're almost up to, what, nearly episode 30 already, which is absolutely crazy. I hope you guys are enjoying the content from this series. Make sure as well, obviously, if you are new around here, you do get yourself subscribed as well. But yeah, moving on though into the Spanish Grand Prix. Last season we had a good solid race here, once again proving ourselves as a real sort of worthy competitor to Red Bull, so we can only hope that we get the same sort of, I think we'll be optimistic to hope we're battling with the Red Bulls this season out, but a boy can dream nonetheless. And like I said at the start of the video, we will be fixing both of these repairs over the course of the weekend, so they should go onto the car ready for the Monaco Grand Prix next time out as well. But yeah, we are getting so many upgrades on this car at the moment. I think we've had, obviously including these 2, I think 9 so far this season. It might only be 8, but I think we have 4 at Bahrain, I think 1 at China, and then a couple at the last race and a couple here. So we're making good progress. But talking about progress, it's time for the Spanish Grand Prix qualifying.
Qualifying's about to kick off any moment here at the Circuit Barcelona Catalunya. No doubt that today will be full of action on the track. Drivers tend to complain about tyre wear around this track, and the compounds on offer this weekend aren't likely to put that issue to bed. Is this going to be about who can make the tyres last?
Tyre wear is always something you have to consider to a certain degree. Finding a good car balance that suits the circuit will help prolong the life of the tyre, but it's true that some circuits, such as this one, are more challenging than others. How hard you can push them depends on your strategy and how tight the battle is around you.
So coming on then into the Spanish Grand Prix qualifying, and obviously the big question going into this weekend isn't where we can really finish, it's just how much quicker these cars really are. Now, for those of you guys that sort of aren't really aware, there is a link actually, I think, on the home screen of F1 2019 where you can have a go look at the patch notes, but a lot of it's sort of high-speed aerodynamics, and obviously Spain's got a good few corners like that. Obviously Spain's a very good sort of all-round car test on the whole, and well, hopefully that can give us a good showing of everything like that. But yeah, this car felt a lot quicker. Unfortunately, obviously everyone else's cars also was a lot quicker, but we are going to ride on board with my second and final qualifying lap from Q1 here. We're going to go on board for the whole lap here. You can see already down on a 1 minute 18.5, and like I always do, the qualifying comparison, last season we ran a 1:21.1, so already we're 2.5 seconds quicker than at that lap. Now I put roughly 2.5 seconds. I put about a second, just over a second of that from raw car performance, just upgrades and everything like that, and about just under a second and a half in terms of just obviously the new patch, everything like that, the high-speed aerodynamics, everything, the corners are just that bit quicker, and it's a bit weird. The car didn't feel any sort of different. I think, they've really sort of implemented this patch well. It just sort of made sense that the car could sort of grip a lot more through a few of the high-speed corners. Obviously, this got a turn 9 is, you know, a prime example of that, as we get a little bit of a wobble on the exit. But yeah, just the cars are so much quicker now as we head in towards the rest of Season 2. You know, roughly, we should probably be looking at upwards, obviously, depending on the track length, upwards of 3 seconds a lap performance boost from Season 1. And like I would say, about a second to a second and a half of that is just raw car upgrades, and the rest is this new patch. And yeah, really enjoying it so far. Nonetheless, as we head through the final couple of corners, though, where are we going to go at the end of Q1 here? It's down towards the line, and it is... Oh, where are we going to be? It's P16 for the Spanish Grand Prix there. That is heartbreaking. We scraped through into Q2 last time out, but sadly, here in Spain, it is not quite the case there. Pierre Gasly at the front at the end of Q1 there. And like I said, Season 1, we set a 1 minute 21.1. If I'm not mistaken, we'll go quicker than that during the race this time out. But we miss out on Q2 by 23 thousandths of a second there. That was absolutely heartbreaking. We could have scraped in ahead of Lance Stroll there. But we do beat my teammate. That is gutting, though, at the end of the session. P16, I think our second best qualifying session, though, of the year so far. But like I always say, there's no points from qualifying. We're all aware of that by now in this series. Let's dive it in. We're ready for round 5 of the season here in Spain. The second proper European race of the year. Round 5 is go.
Good afternoon from a very familiar setting. It's race day here in Spain, and with everything still to play for in the championship battle, there's no room for mistakes in a Grand Prix that's well known for creating them. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya then, a high-speed 2.89-mile circuit which demands an efficient downforce package and bravery on the part of the driver, especially through the blind right of turn 9, which we might just see taken flat this weekend. And with me, as usual, is Anthony Davidson. So, let's briefly discuss Nico Hülkenberg. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Pierre Gasly lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, and Hülkenberg, Weber, Bottas, Perez, and Devon Butler, Sainz, Norris, George Russell, and Stroll, Raikkonen, Mr. Monaco, Romain Grosjean, and Daniel Kvyat. Giovinazzi and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
So here we are then, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix, and it's looking like a fairly textbook one-stop Grand Prix. Nice sunny conditions throughout the weekend here as well, something that we really like to see. But we are on the grid then, ready for round 5 of the season. The 5 lights are coming on now, and it is lights out, and away we go there. And actually, after one of my better starts so far this grid, we haven't been absolutely swamped by everyone else so far. Romain Grosjean is going to get an ever so slightly better launch than myself as we come down in towards turn 1 there. We're going to go very aggressive. I think Lance Stroll already losing an end plate as we head down in towards turn 1. I saw some debris fly up, and it looked like it was orangey blue. I'll be honest there, as we head through the first couple of corners. You can see already, yeah, Lance Stroll struggling on the exit of turn 1 there. Gets a bit of better drive, but up the inside in towards the next couple of corners there. And we now move ourselves up into P15 there, so a good strong start to the Spanish Grand Prix. They're up the inside of Raikkonen as well as we head down in towards the middle sector of the lap there. And well, we've made that move work as well. We always say this, we've got to go aggressive in the early stages of these races. And well, that's certainly what I've done this time. I get a huge snap of oversteer as we head up towards the top of the hill once more here. And you can see, well, the McLarens, they've definitely got a bit of a performance buff here. You know, it looks like Carlos Sainz all the way up in P13 on the grid, and usually it's both McLarens going out in, at least one of them going out in Q1. Quite often it's the pair as well here as we head down in towards the final few corners of lap 1. Sergio Perez and Lando Norris having a bit of a battle just up the road here, but we have kept it clean, we have kept it tidy, and we have survived the opening lap of this Spanish Grand Prix here, and that is absolutely critical. Front wing damage something you really, really don't want to get here in Spain there as we head out of the final corner. Pierre Gasly leads the way at the end of lap 1, still yet to get his first race victory whatsoever, obviously in the HAAS Road to Glory career mode, never mind just for Mercedes here as we head down in towards turn 1. And yeah, like I said, we had survived lap 1.
Engine is looking a little worn. Power output will be less than optimal.
So the team already coming on over the radio then by the end of lap 3 with engine issues and engine worries already. It was looking like once again, this is always the issue we have on F1 career mode, and I know it's probably the issue that drivers end up with the most in real life as well. Gearbox wear was really costing us, and I have to remember for the Monaco Grand Prix next to Matt to swap out that gearbox because we do not want a repeat of Season 1. But heading on though towards lap 5 here, and you can see already now all over the back of Carlos Sainz once again here. It looked like the AI were really starting to bunch up here as we head through the next couple of laps, and it looked like Bottas was the bottleneck in this little situation here as we head up towards the top of the hill once more there. I love that corner when you do get it right here. But yeah, Bottas looked to really be struggling in this Grand Prix. We got the inside of Carlos Sainz there. Lando Norris goes around the outside of the Red Bull just up the road there. So yeah, really Bottas, and this was a prime opportunity for myself as we head through the final few corners of lap 5. Really struggling actually with the wheel spin. You know, getting a little bit excited. Potentially a few more overtakes are a possibility in this Grand Prix here. And this track, probably one that should suit our car a little bit better than some of the races we've had recently. You know, the aerodynamics still very strong, or, you know, sort of a mid-pack car relative to sort of our lower-end engine and chassis here. But yeah, George Russell even, sorry, I should say, gets up the inside in towards turn 1. Then Bottas goes for a nice big double lockup as we head through the first couple of corners here. I'm just trying to have a look. I don't think Bottas has picked up any damage by the looks of it. No, there we go, he has. On the right-hand side of the front wing there, Valtteri Bottas has lost the end plate there. No wonder he was struggling, and that now moves us up into P12 of this Grand Prix. So we are making good progress in the early stages, but I'll be honest, I was sort of low-key worried at this stage of the day that we were sort of doing what we did at China for the first half of that Grand Prix, where we just seemed to be able to get in the way of some quicker cars here. Lap 7 now, you can see George Russell, Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris, obviously 3 of the young boys in Formula 1 here, really now starting to trip over each other. As you can see, Charles Leclerc goes defensive in towards turn 4 here, and we're going to be able to go right around the outside of George Russell there. A little bit of contact made between the pairs there, but we do make the move work, and we now potentially have a look up the inside of Leclerc there. He goes for a little bit of a weave as we head down in towards the braking zone there, and that sort of forced me to panic a little bit. We did go full send on the Ferrari, and we now move ourselves up into the points of the Spanish Grand Prix here. So having, yeah, a really solid start to this race. 6 places made up in the opening 7 laps here. We certainly can't complain with that sort of progress. Give us what, lap 15, and we'll be up into the lead of this race here as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of lap 7. And yeah, really just trying to push on and see what we can do in this Grand Prix here. Charles Leclerc though, sorry, no, George Russell even, I should say. It wouldn't be too long before he was coming straight back past us in this Grand Prix. Back up the inside he goes, back up into the points for the Williams man there as we head down in towards the first couple of corners. And George Russell was probably, you know, my benchmark in this Grand Prix is the best way to describe it here. You know, he was just that little bit quicker than myself that we could really sort of try and latch onto him. You can see by the end of lap 12, we hadn't really been able to go for anything, but, you know, we were sticking close to him. We were setting good, consistent lap times. I think we had the same sort of thing in Season 1. I think it might have actually been with Charles Leclerc, where we just seem to get that little bit of tunnel vision. Now, I really don't like the Spanish Grand Prix circuit. You know, it's looking like it could get dropped for 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even 2020, by the looks of it. I can't quite remember. But we really do seem to have quite good pace around this place, nonetheless. There, as soon as I say that, we make a bit of a mistake as we head up the hill there. But Sergio Perez now out of the Grand Prix here. Not too sure what's happened to the Racing Point man here, and it's really not been his luck so far in this season now as we head up towards right at the top of the hill there. Sergio Perez, yeah, out on the outside. That seems to be a catastrophic engine failure there, an expensive cloud of dust and smoke there. But as we head through the next couple of laps, so back up obviously into the points with Sergio Perez's demise, and now end of lap 14, the pit stop window would now take effect there. George Russell and Carlos Sainz surrounding me here would both dive it into the pit lane, but we tried to go 1 lap longer in this Grand Prix, move ourselves up into P6 of the race. But yeah, really just wanted to try and push these tyres that one extra lap and just have that little bit of a grip extra boost in the second half of this Grand Prix here. One lap, you know, isn't the biggest difference in the world, but it'll certainly be helpful, even just psychologically, in the second half of this Grand Prix as we head through towards the final couple of corners of lap 15 here. And yeah, down in towards the pit lane. Make sure we get the car slowed down nice and tidy there. Absolutely nail that pit lane entry, if I do say so myself. And yeah, coming now through, I don't think we're really going to be able to capitalise on George Russell. You know, it hasn't been a monumental, you know, sort of overcut strategy, but it certainly has helped us out nonetheless here as we exit out of the pit lane. A very long pit lane here in Spain. Lose the pit lane speed limiter as quickly as possible. And yeah, George Russell has re-jumped us there, so it basically stayed even over the pit stop window here. George hasn't really gained, we haven't really capitalised either though, so certainly a little bit annoyed with that, but wasn't really expecting anything either. You know, we just got to try and continue pushing on and close back up to the rear of the Williams car. And like I said, you know, he was pretty evenly matched with myself in this Grand Prix. You know, when we were pushing, we could probably just about, you know, hold the gap to George Russell here in this race as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of lap 17 here. And we were trying to apply the pressure as early and as quickly as possible in this race. Out of the final corner, we've got the DRS, we've got the slipstream, set a new PB of the Grand Prix of 1:21.2, so only a tenth off my PB from season 1, well, from our qualifying of season 1 even, I should say there, as we head down in towards turn 1 and turn 2, that we get round the outside of the Williams man, and that now moves us back up into P9 of this Grand Prix here, so making good, still solid progress in this race. But George Russell coming straight back at me as we head down in towards turn 4. There, a tiny bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there as George hangs me out to dry through the next couple of corners there. And yeah, he moves himself back up into P9 once again of this race here. And well, we wouldn't be giving up on this one just yet here. On to lap 20 we go now. And still just trying to stick close to the Williams here. Down in towards turn 1 there. He's going to go defensive. We're going to try and move to the outside there. Squeeze him a little bit defensively. But he does hold it on the inside as we head through turn 1 there. But once again, round the outside of turn 2. But the team have just come over the radio with a message that we did not want to hear at this stage of the Grand Prix. We have lost one of the gears here. And well, if there was ever any doubt that we needed to change over to a different gearbox for Monaco, this was certainly going to prove it as we head down. Which gear have we lost? It is second, so not quite the worst gear to lose around this place. You know, we can sort of leave it in third, but still really not ideal here. And now we've got to try and survive ahead of George Russell.
Right, we've looked at the gearbox issue, but I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. Try and drive around it, we'll just have to hope for the best. Remember that you have a lot of torque in these power units, so you should be able to stay in higher gears for a lot of the lap.
So the team, yeah, obviously just warning me about how, you know, we are effectively going to have to stay up in third gear here through basically the entire lap here. And sadly, I'd forget about that almost instantly as we head in towards the final chicane of the lap. Man, yeah, make a big mistake there, get a nice chunk of wheel spin on the exit of the corner there. But yeah, second gear isn't exactly the end of the world around here, but it's certainly going to cost us a little bit in this Grand Prix here. George Russell gets back past me as we head on to lap 21, but we have only got a third of this Grand Prix to go, and we would really love to try and hold out for the points here, but we have got Charles Leclerc behind us as well here. And yeah, George Russell, we really don't want to try and let him get away all too much in this Grand Prix, but you know, Charles, he had issues in the early stages. He was a man on a mission in the second half of this Grand Prix to really just try and get himself back up in towards the points. You can see lap 23 now, he'd taken about 2 seconds a lap out of me over those next couple of laps there. We go around the outside of George Russell as we head down in towards turn 1 there, and we would make the move, what, you know, we go up the inside, round the outside, everything so far in this Grand Prix. Now we move ourselves back up into P9 once again. So this has been a tremendous, you know, half a race so far battle with George Russell as we head through the first couple of corners of Sector 2 here. But now Charles Leclerc was joining the party, and it was really an unnerving situation for myself. Lap 24 now, and George Russell once again going to come back at me, but Charles Leclerc up the inside of George as well there. George's going to have a look up the inside, down in towards turn 1, and we're going to make contact, and Russell's going to get sent around there. Charles Leclerc lucky to avoid that one as well. The VSC has been deployed, and I felt, you know, it was a little bit of a late lunge by George Russell. We've seen the AI do it to myself time and time again. You know, we did get a warning, luckily no penalty in that situation, so I'm going to call that all fair gain at the end of the day there. But yeah, a little bit of a breather with the VSC, but obviously it being a VSC, it wouldn't last long, and we had to push on still. 8 laps to go now of this Grand Prix, and we can afford to lose the place to Charles Leclerc, but now Carlos Sainz was also in the hunt now, so we are really, you know, it was tough, I'll be honest, at this stage of the day. Charles Leclerc, nothing we could do against the Ferrari as we head down in towards Turn 1. He went from about 7/10 back to straight past me down in towards Turn 1. There was, yeah, nothing we could really do in terms of defense. But as we head towards the end of lap 28 here, there's yellow flags out in Sector 3, and the safety car has been deployed in this Grand Prix. Could this be a blessing for myself as we head in towards the final 5 laps of this Grand Prix? I'm not even too sure what's happened there. Lando Norris out of this Grand Prix. They're right in the late stages of the race here, and that is heartbreak for the Williams man. And well, it's so cool to see Lando Norris and the Williams, you know, that best of British team sort of thing vibe they've got going on over there. But yeah, heartbreak for Lando Norris. You know, that Williams team, sorry to sidetrack, that Williams team is the team I never knew I wanted in Formula 1 until we got that driver swap on F1 2019 here. But as we head down the pit lane, yes, that's right, we are making a very, very late strategy call onto a set of the soft compound tyres here. It was looking like we were going to struggle to hold on ahead of Carlos Sainz anyway in this Grand Prix, so we're just going to try and go for it with a few laps to go of this race here. Come back out of the pit lane nice and tidy in at P12, and now we've got to try and get these tyres up into an operating window once again here, and just a couple of laps to go now as we head towards the end of lap 31, and we had caught up to the rear of this safety car group. And yeah, the safety car, I can confirm, will be coming in on the end of this lap as well. So we've got 2 laps to make 2 places. What is going to happen at the end of this Grand Prix? No doubt have we got a tyre advantage, but it's all about trying to get them up into the right operating window here with just a couple of laps to go of this Grand Prix. And you can see they are still running very, very cold here, but nothing we can really do. Whoever's leading, I think it's Lewis Hamilton, is really, really backing the field up as we head in towards the final few corners of this lap, and it was certainly not helping out myself here as we head out in towards the heaven here. This is just so agonisingly slow. Hamilton, mate, get on with it. It really, really costed myself probably more than everyone else in this race because, you know, all these guys have got rubbered in tyres. This was basically a fresh set of the soft compound rubber here as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of lap 31 here. 2 laps to go of this race, and the green flags are going to be dropping about now here out of the final corner. We get a huge snap of oversteer there. And are we going to be able to get any sort of run on George Russell, the Mercedes power unit in the back of that Williams car? Not going to give us any opportunity. Lance Stroll has to slot in back there as he is now a lap down to basically everyone else in this Grand Prix. Yeah, sadly, we couldn't go for anything on George Russell just then in this race here, but it wouldn't take too long before we were all over the back of the Williams man once again here as we head out onto the back straightaway here. 1.5 laps to go of this Grand Prix. You can see with no DRS, we weren't even able to close up down the straightaways here. We're going to go up the inside, though, of the Williams, and the desperation was really, really starting to sink in at this late stage of the Grand Prix here. We do move ourselves back up into P11 of this race, and now we've got 1 lap to go to try and close up to Kimi Räikkönen, and he is not very far up the road, as you can visibly see here as we head through the final couple of corners there. Hamilton, fastest lap of the Grand Prix as well here as we head out of the final corners. 1 lap to go now of this Spanish Grand Prix, and the gap to Räikkönen just 0.8 of a second, but still with no DRS, nothing we can really do down the back straightaway here. Räikkönen would absolutely launch up to the rear of the McLaren of Carlos Sainz as well here, so we've got an absolute mountain to climb as we head in towards this final lap. We'd love to score points for our 3rd time in this season. You know, every time it's just been, you know, sort of scraping those points together where we can. You know, China was a bit of an odd example where, you know, we really, really were able to capitalise on the strategy in the wet here. But yeah, Räikkönen now, that gap is just coming up and down, ebbing and flowing as we head out onto the straightaways, and just through the corners we were gaining so much, and now it finally felt as we head in towards the final half a lap of this Grand Prix like the tyres were really starting to come into their operating window once again here through turn 9. Really, really trying to capitalise there, running almost out into the gravel trap here, but with just 1 sector to go of this Grand Prix, the gap still is just half a second here. We can't go for anything on Räikkönen there, and a huge chunk of wheel spin, and into the grass we go. And, well, that would put pay to any sort of opportunity I thought we would have had in towards the final couple of corners of this Grand Prix. We gave it our all. Let me know down in the comments whether you believe, you know, that move on to the set of the soft compound tyres was worth it in the end of the day there. Sadly, I didn't really think, you know, we'd be able to try and hold on ahead of Carlos Sainz anyway there. Out of the final corner, it's P11, tantalisingly close to the points at the end of the day there, but heartbreak in the end just to miss out. And yeah, really, really gutted with that result.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. So, let's review the drivers' standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
For me, it's Kimi Räikkönen, someone who definitely doesn't get enough attention for how well he performs out on the track.
Let's move on to the Constructors. Mercedes moved to the top of the table. There was also a strong showing from the Mclaren team today, as they make their way up the standings. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So having a look then at the results at the end of the Spanish Grand Prix, Hamilton takes home the race victory just like he did last season out as well there. Pierre Gasly, a fantastic job in P2. Obviously the safety car did probably make that result look a little bit better, but starting on pole, I'm sure he's a little bit gutted still to just miss out there. Ahead of Sebastian Vettel, Verstappen, Hulkenberg, Butler, Charles Leclerc, Sainz and Raikkonen. Raikkonen scores his first points of the season there ahead of myself, Russell, Kvyat, Giovinazzi, Albon and Valtteri Bottas with that front wing damage really just didn't have a race to remember there. Grosjean and Lance Stroll there ahead of Norris and Perez, both not making it through at the end of the day. Gasly, though, would jump up into P3 of the Drivers' World Championship. And despite, you know, it looking like Racing Point, Renault, Red Bull, Williams were all right there, it is still Mercedes and Ferrari at the top of the Drivers' World Championship. Hamilton now builds himself up a 16-point lead over Sebastian Vettel there. Verstappen would jump Perez, obviously, after that retirement. Weber would jump Russell, Bottas, Norris and myself there. But Carlos Sainz now getting himself on the board there. Both him and Raikkonen scoring points in that race there. Now Lance Stroll, Giovinazzi, Kvyat, Grosjean and Albon, the only men yet to score in this career mode. And in terms of the Constructors as well, it would be McLaren jumping Alfa Romeo now, both on 2 points. Just leaving Toro Rosso once again yet to score points in this series. Mercedes reclaim the lead of the Constructors' World Championship, now 18 points ahead of Ferrari. Renault would jump Red Bull and Williams, a very, very tightly knit battle going on there as well. But there we are then, guys. That is the end of the Spanish Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this race. Once again, a really, really action-packed Grand Prix. Nonetheless, it's really exciting to see at the moment. We are having to push like absolute crazy. But Monaco next time out should be a prime example of hopefully some points to score. Hopefully I will see you guys there for round 6 of the series.